Hello, I'm Philip Stoten. I'm here at Apex 2018 and I'm joined by Akhil from Omnics. Akhil, always a pleasure to see you and good to chat. What are your customers asking you for at the moment? What's kind of vexing them and putting pressure on you, keeping your engineers up at night and making things move forward?
Sure. So what we are seeing is, I'll talk about 4 different areas that what we are seeing as a theme from all the companies that we're talking to and the customers that we have. Number one is the size of the data that they have to deal with. It's just growing day by day, and it's just unmanageable using their old traditional methods of spreadsheets approach for planning. Secondly, the speed of the supply chain. We need answers yesterday. And there's no way that they can keep up with manual planning and traditional tools. Thirdly, they are happy or they are in the process of business intelligence and supply chain visibility, but still that's yesterday, right? It's history. So they are looking at what can be done from an AI perspective, machine learning, to be predictive, to have prescriptive and predictive analysis. And lastly, I think every company that I've spoken to is talking about, I'm not finding people to do my supply chain planning. So there is clear gap in terms of supply chain talent and people coming into the stream, and they want to make their current existing teams effective and efficient. So what can we do using technology and augment that with business and human intelligence to make things better?
That's interesting. If you look at those last two there, the smarts, the intelligence that's needed in that, and the skill set that's available. I was talking to people yesterday, and some companies do still rely on spreadsheets. That's dependent on having someone that can control all of that complex data and on their day off, that often just doesn't work.
Exactly.
So are you able to develop solutions where, there is a lesser skill requirement or a more flexible requirement in terms of who operates it?
I think if you look at it in terms of what we do is, number one is automate many of the processes which are manually intensive data crunching approaches, which frankly speaking they don't add to the bottom line value. So how can we automate that and let the machine do that part, and where the human or the people are actually working on the 80% of the space where you create the value. That's number one. And secondly is where we are seeing is, and what we have developed is really using algorithmic approach to processing the inputs and looking at finding the best answers. Considering the size of the data, it's very, very important to understand those patterns and understand what has really happened in the past, look at those patterns, and then look at what could potentially happen in the future. And that's where machine learning comes into play. And that cannot be done on spreadsheets. And at the same time, I think when it comes to people and the supply chain talent, it all comes down to tribal knowledge, conventional wisdom, but at the end of the day, you don't have everyone at the same skill levels to do that. So automation and then algorithmic processing, and that's where you build the intelligence into those solutions for supply chain planning.
Yeah, it's interesting. We had Jared Cohen, CEO of Jigsaw, give the keynote here yesterday, and his 2 pieces of advice for all the companies here was, with any new strategy, 1, be mobile, and 2, be machine learning ready. And those were absolutely key. Just to go back to the first 2, size and speed, data sizes, data volume is becoming hard to control, and we're getting more and more data, and we don't want data that we can't access and isn't actionable. How do you manage that? What's that situation with respect to investment in servers, whatever's needed to manage that huge volume of data?
Good question there. Just recently I was asked in terms of one of our customers and the way they're growing with us, and their business been growing almost 60% year over year. The question was that how can we manage all the data and then the size of the data and so on. But the interesting part is the processing power and the server power, the storage power has become so cheap. It is commoditized, and everything we are looking at in cloud, right? So it's, number one, it's easy to scale. Number two, it's definitely a lot cheaper in terms of increasing that data side and managing that. I think where the trick is and where the challenges are is The size of the data, I think we can put that together and can scale that. Where the challenge is, how do we connect the data points and the interrelationships and the data dependencies between those data points? That's critical, and that has elements of not just the experience that we bring, but also the question around how can we use software technology to enhance that and to make it better.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely key. It sounds to me as if you kind of identified areas that the whole market is screaming about at the moment, and the tools that you have seem well placed to do it. So the timing for Omnics seems very good at the moment. So that's good to hear.
We are at the cusp of where we want to be. I mean, few years ago we were talking about data visibility, supply chain visibility. I think you get it. We are not there yet, frankly speaking. Many customers say we are in that process or in that journey of visibility, but they have already jumped in terms of visibility is okay. But tell me, what can we do now that we have the data? What should I do 6 months, 12 months down the road? That's where the key.
Yeah, and it's using that to make better, faster decisions.
Exactly.
Akhil, thanks for stopping by. Lovely to talk to you, and enjoy the rest of Apex.
Thank you so much.